In this video, I'm going to address one of the biggest controversies in the raw feeding world. Should you transition your dog to a raw diet using a slow transition approach, or should you balance the diet from the start? Do you know the answer? And if this is your first time on the channel and you want to hear more about raw feeding and raw feeding related stuff, click the subscribe button below as well as that little bell notification icon so that you don't miss future videos. And really quick, in the comments below, let me know what method you used to transition your dog to a raw diet, or the method that you are considering using if you plan on transitioning your dog or dogs to a raw diet. I'd love to hear what you guys are actually doing. So what is the right answer? We all got into raw feeding our dogs a raw food diet, or are considering feeding our dog or dogs a raw food diet because we want to do the best that we possibly can for them. So which of these methods is going to allow us to do that best job? So what is the right answer? There isn't one. I know, it's frustrating and confusing, and I get it. So here's the deal. But let's first start off by looking at the difference between these two different methods. What is a slow transition approach and what is a balance from the start approach? The feeding a balanced diet from the get-go approach is exactly what it sounds like. You are going to be feeding everything from the get-go that you will be feeding in that diet. You'll be feeding meat, bones, liver, non-liver organs, and if you plan on feeding these things, then produce and supplements would be added to that list as well. And all of it would be added and fed from the first meal going forward. There wouldn't be any transition, it's just everything all at once. A slow transition method consists of starting with very few ingredients and adding more foods over time, one at a time. For example, my course recommends starting with one white meat bone-in protein, and then as the weeks go by, adding more and more foods one at a time. This means that you would start with your white meat bone-in protein, and you'd eventually add in everything else as time goes on. Red meats, fish, all these other things that are going to be going into the diet would be added one at a time. So if we want all of these things in our dog's diet, the liver, the bone, the meat content, all this stuff, why do I recommend a slow transition instead of getting all these awesome things into the diet at once from the start? I agree 1,000%, 10 times over, that a balance from the start, a balanced diet from the very first meal moving forward, would be ideal for every dog out there. However, the reality of this is that way too often, dogs do not handle that approach well. It's simply too much at once for the body to handle and transition to, and leads to all kinds of negative side effects. These negative side effects can include loose stools, diarrhea, or cannon butt as I like to call it, which is basically explosive diarrhea, excessive gas, and or an upset stomach. Everybody loses, it's a more difficult transition for your dog, you're cleaning up more messes, and this happens way too often. To give you a much better chance of avoiding all these things, I recommend the slow transition. This gives the body an opportunity to adjust to all of these new foods one at a time. So the bottom line is that both of these methods can work. It's just been my experience that far too often dogs do not react well to the balance from the start approach. And on the flip side of that, more often than not, dogs that go through the slow transition method experience few to none of these negative side effects during the transition. So do your research, pick the method that is right for you and that you think is going to work best for your dog. But if you asked me, I would recommend the slow transition because it's been my experience that it gives you the best opportunity and really sets you up for a successful transition that is easier on your dog's body, it's easier on your stress levels, and easier on your carpet. If you're looking for more information on raw feeding, make sure to visit my website, dogdadofficial.com. rawpawIQ.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, click the subscribe button below so that you don't miss future videos and you can keep learning about more raw feeding stuff. And most importantly, remember that you don't need to be perfect to be an amazing dog owner. You just have to do your best every day and try to improve as you go forward. Peace.